The streets of Guangzhou are never truly silent at night. Neon lights flicker in the mist. Laughter from drunks echoes down the alleys. But that night felt different. My little sister Lena and I were walking through an old neighborhood when she suddenly stumbled. Her body went cold, her eyes rolled back, and she collapsed. Her breathing was shallow, broken. I panicked. People nearby just watched, whispering, but no one stepped forward. Then an old Chinese man pointed toward the end of the street and said, "Cross Blood Hospital. Take her there, quickly." The name hit me like ice water. I'd heard the rumors. Everyone in Guangzhou had. That hospital officially shut down years ago, but at night, it still runs. And whoever gets admitted there never comes back alive. But I had no choice. I picked Lena up and ran through the rain toward the building that everyone feared. Before me stood an ancient blackened building, towering in silence. The rusted gate bore faded letters in both English and Chinese. Cross Blood Hospital, emergency entrance. I pushed the gate. It creaked open on its own. A foul stench of rot and disinfectant hit my face. The inside was pitch dark. "Hello, somebody, please, my sister's dying." From the shadows, a figure emerged. A man in a white coat, old glasses glinting in the dim light, holding a worn-out file. His face was emotionless, his eyes hollow. A doctor.
He examined Lena with long, cold fingers. Ice against her skin. Without emotion, he said, "Her condition is critical. She must be admitted immediately." Relief washed over me. "Yes, doctor, please. Do whatever you need. I'll stay with her." But then he looked up. His eyes empty and cold. "You'll stay here. Patients' relatives are not allowed inside the ICU." He snapped his fingers, and 3 or 4 nurses appeared from nowhere. Their movements were unnatural, slow, dragging, as if their feet barely touched the ground. Before I could say anything, they placed Lena on a stretcher and wheeled her away. "Wait, where are you taking her?" The doctor's voice cracked through the silence. "Sit in the waiting hall." Now, I sat down, trembling. The hall was old and dusty, filled with flickering yellow light. Old newspapers and scattered files covered the floor. My eyes caught a thick red file lying on a broken table. Across the cover, in smeared red ink, were the words, "Cross Blood Rules. For visitors." My heartbeat quickened. I slowly opened it. The text was strange, partly English, partly Chinese, and oddly mixed with Hindi or Urdu, as if someone wanted everyone to understand the warning. It read, Rule 1. After midnight, never go near ward number 7. No one who enters ever returns. Rule 2. If a nurse calls your name, don't answer. Because there are no real nurses here. Rule 3. If you see faces staring through the ICU window, ignore them, or they'll come looking for you.
Rule 4. Never use the elevator. It doesn't go up, it only goes down to the morgue. Rule 5. If someone taps your shoulder before sunrise, don't look back, because the one behind you isn't human. I froze. Was this some sick joke? Old ghost stories written to scare people away? But then, dong, dong, dong. The old wall clock struck 12 midnight, and the waiting hall door slammed shut behind me on its own. My breath quickened. Still no news about Lena. I stepped toward the corridor, looking for someone, anyone. A faded map hung on the wall. It showed all the wards, labeled in red paint. And at the very end of the darkest hallway, one name glowed faintly under the flickering light. Ward number 7. My blood ran cold. That was the very place the file had warned me never to go after midnight. But then, as I watched, shadows began to move down that corridor, figures pushing a stretcher. And on that stretcher was Lena. I kept reading the file again and again. The words looked strange, as if written in blood. Rule 1. After midnight, never go near ward number 7. No one who enters ever returns. I checked the clock. 11:58 p.m. My heart started pounding. I whispered to myself, "It's just a coincidence, just old rumors. I have to see my sister. Just stay calm." But then I heard it, a faint chick, chick, chick sound from the corridor. Footsteps. I turned my head toward the darkness, toward ward number 7. The door was half open. A faint white shadow moved inside. My throat went dry. No, it's just my imagination. A cold gust of wind blew through the hallway. The door began to close slowly on its own, and in the narrow gap before it shut completely, I saw a woman's face. Pale, smeared with blood, and her eyes completely white. I bit down my scream and stumbled backward. The door slammed shut with a deafening thud. A dead silence filled the corridor, and I realized Rule 1 was real. I collapsed onto a chair, wiping sweat from my trembling hands. From somewhere down the hall came the sound of heels tapping. Tick, tick, tick. A nurse appeared in the dim light. Her head was bent, hair covering her face. "Relative of the patient?" she asked softly. But her voice, it wasn't one voice. It was two, layered, echoing, distorted, as if someone else was speaking through her. And then the memory hit me. Rule 2. If a nurse calls you, don't answer, because there are no real nurses here. My heartbeat froze. The nurse stopped right in front of me. Your sister, she's in pain, she whispered. Come with me, I'll take her to you. Her lips barely moved, yet the sound came from many mouths at once. I clenched my jaw shut, didn't speak, didn't move. She stepped closer. Now her face was visible in the flickering light. Her eye sockets were empty, swirling with black smoke. Say something. Will you come with me? Her cold hand reached toward my shoulder, when suddenly a sharp voice echoed behind me. Li Wei? I turned around. It was the same doctor who had admitted Lena. I looked back. The nurse was gone, vanished like she'd never been there.
The doctor glared at me. What are you doing here? Stay away from the ICU. Your sister's condition is critical. I nodded nervously, but deep inside, a single thought burned. What kind of hospital is this? Are there even humans here? The clock now showed 1:15 a.m. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to see Lena. I crept toward the ICU. Through the small window, I peeked inside and instantly froze. The beds weren't empty, but those lying on them, they weren't patients. They were blood-soaked bodies pressed against the walls, their faces turned toward me, their eyes locked onto mine. Rule 3. Ignore the faces staring through the ICU window. If you acknowledge them, they'll come for you. I staggered backward in terror, but it was too late. Handprints began forming on the glass. From inside, cold, pale hands pressing outward. And then, a freezing breath brushed my ear. Someone was right behind me. I didn't turn around. I ran. I sprinted through the corridor, gasping for air, and suddenly, I stopped. A rusted elevator stood ahead, its door half open, darkness inside. A cold draft came from within, carrying a whisper. Come, go up. My blood turned to ice. I remembered the rule. Rule 4. Never take the elevator. It doesn't go up. It goes down to the morgue. My legs froze. Then the lights flickered once, and the entire hospital went black. The elevator door slammed shut, and the buttons began lighting up on their own. -3, -4, -5, down, all the way down.
I ran toward the stairs, desperate to escape. My chest was tight, my heartbeat deafening. And then, I felt it. A cold, icy hand rested gently on my shoulder. I froze. Completely. The last line from the file echoed inside my head. Rule 5. If someone touches your shoulder before sunrise, don't look back, because the one behind you isn't human. My knees trembled. My throat went dry. I shut my eyes tight. And in that suffocating silence, I prayed. If I turn around now, this night will be my last.
The hand on my shoulder was cold as ice. My breath stopped. If Rule 5 was real, I couldn't turn around. But that grip was tightening, slowly, painfully, as if something was trying to drag me into the darkness. I clenched my teeth, eyes shut tight, and whispered, "Whoever you are, I'm not turning around." For a moment, the hand went still. Then suddenly, it let go. Behind me came a laughter so hideous it wasn't a woman's voice, nor a man's. It was many throats laughing at once. I stumbled toward the stairway, but the hospital had changed. Blood was running down the walls. Broken stretchers lay scattered on the floor, and chunks of rotting flesh clung to the tiles. The stairs were gone. In their place was a long, dark tunnel. Whispers echoed from every direction. Ward number 7. Ward number 7. My legs began to move on their own, pulling me deeper into the dark passage. At last, I stopped in front of a door. On it, written in crooked, blood-red letters, Ward number 7. My heart froze. This was the place from the first rule. No one who enters ever returns. Then I heard it, my sister scream from inside, "Brother, help me!" I didn't think. I kicked the door open. The sight inside turned my blood to ice. Hundreds of human faces were carved into the walls, some laughing, some crying, some screaming. In the center, Lena lay strapped to a stretcher, surrounded by nurse-like shadows. Their feet didn't touch the ground. A tall doctor stood over her, his face hidden behind a mask, a surgical knife in his hand. "Stop! Leave her alone!" I shouted. The doctor slowly lifted his head. His eyes were pitch black. Rotting flesh peeked out from behind his mask. He smiled. "You should have read the file properly. When you admit a patient here, they belong to us."
I grabbed a metal tray and hurled it with all my strength. The shadows screamed and scattered. I rushed to Lena, tore off her restraints, and pulled her from the stretcher. But then, the faces on the walls came alive. Their mouths opened wide and shrieked in unison, "No one leaves this place alive." The room shook violently. Blood began to rain from the ceiling. I dragged Lena into the hallway. Every door burst open, and corpses fell out, one after another, blocking the path with their twisted limbs. Running through the chaos, I saw the old elevator again. This time, its doors were open. and there was light inside. I had no choice. Lena was unconscious, and the hospital itself felt alive, closing in on us. I carried her inside. The doors shut instantly. The buttons began glowing on their own. -1, -2, -3. I realized where we were going. The morgue. My heartbeat roared in my ears. I smashed the buttons, but nothing worked. The elevator stopped. The doors slid open. A huge room spread before us. Cold steel drawers meant for corpses, but every drawer was open. The bodies were standing up, slowly, silently. Their empty eyes stared at me. Their lips moved in unison. "You will stay with us forever," I screamed, clutching Lena tightly as the corpses stepped closer. Then suddenly, I remembered the file, the one with the rules. It was still in my pocket. I pulled it out and tore it into pieces. As the shredded pages flew through the air, the entire morgue shook. The bodies screamed, their forms melting into black smoke that vanished into the ceiling. The elevator doors slammed shut, and it began to rise on its own. When the doors opened again, we were outside. The sun was rising. The sky was pale blue. Everything seemed normal. I checked Lena's pulse. She was alive. Slowly, she opened her eyes. I turned once more toward Cross Blood Hospital. Now, it looked like a ruin. Broken windows, rusted signboards, and not a single doctor or nurse in sight. As if everything that happened belonged to another world. As we started walking home, Lena's trembling voice called out, "Brother?" I turned to her. There was a hand on her shoulder, but there was no one there. A chill ran down my spine because I remembered Rule 5. If someone touches your shoulder before sunrise, don't look back because the one behind you isn't human. I blinked, and when I looked at Lena again, her eyes were completely white.